Every summer, millions of people worry about sunburns, dehydration, and uncomfortable temperatures. But there is another danger that often arrives quietly, disguising itself as something far less serious. A little dizziness, a headache, a wave of exhaustion. Symptoms so ordinary that many people dismiss them without a second thought. Yet, within the human body, a deadly chain reaction may already be underway. Heat stroke is one of the most dangerous medical emergencies on earth. It can strike athletes pushing through a workout, workers spending hours outdoors, elderly individuals sitting inside homes without adequate cooling, and even healthy young adults who never imagined they were at risk. What makes heat stroke especially dangerous is not simply its severity. It's the fact that many of its warning signs appear long before the collapse. The body rarely fails without sending signals first. The problem is that most people either don't recognize those signals or misunderstand what they mean. And this misunderstanding can have devastating consequences. In this video, we're exploring 10 critical signs of heat stroke that people frequently overlook, ignore, or misinterpret. But this isn't just a list of symptoms. We'll uncover why these warning signs appear, what is happening inside the body when they emerge, and how a seemingly normal day can rapidly become a life-threatening emergency. Because when it comes to heat stroke, recognizing the signs isn't just knowledgeable, it can be the difference between recovery and catastrophe. Number 1, the headache that isn't just a headache. One of the earliest warning signs of heat stroke often feels surprisingly ordinary. A headache seems harmless enough. Most people experience headaches regularly, making them easy to dismiss. Yet when extreme heat is involved, a headache can signal that the body's internal temperature regulation system is beginning to fail. The reason this occurs is rooted in how heat affects blood circulation and the brain itself. As body temperature rises, blood vessels throughout the body expand in an attempt to release excess heat. This process, known as vasodilation, helps transfer heat from the body's core towards the skin, where it can escape into the environment. While this mechanism is essential for cooling, it also alters blood flow patterns throughout the body, including within the brain. At the same time, dehydration often develops rapidly during prolonged heat exposure. As sweat production increases, fluids and electrolytes are lost. Blood volume begins to decrease, forcing the cardiovascular system to work harder to maintain circulation. This combination of altered blood flow and fluid loss can create significant pressure changes that contribute to headaches. But heat-related headaches are often different from ordinary headaches. They may feel unusually intense, persistent, or accompanied by a sensation of pressure. Some individuals describe it as a throbbing pain that seems to worsen despite rest. Others experience a diffused headache that spreads across the entire head rather than remaining localized. What makes this symptom particularly concerning is what it represents beneath the surface. The headache itself is not the primary problem. It is evidence that the body's cooling systems are being pushed toward their limits. Consider someone working outdoors on a hot afternoon. They notice a headache developing but assume they simply need coffee, food, or a brief break. Instead of addressing the heat exposure, they continue their activities. Meanwhile, their core temperature continues climbing. The headache was not merely discomfort, it was an early alarm. Ignoring this warning allows the underlying thermal stress to continue escalating. Number 2, dizziness and the illusion of control. When people describe the sensation of almost passing out, they are often describing one of the body's most important heat-related warning signals. Dizziness during extreme heat is far more than simple discomfort. It reflects a growing struggle between the body's demand for cooling and its need to maintain adequate blood flow to vital organs. To understand why this happens, imagine the enormous challenge the cardiovascular system faces during intense heat exposure. Blood is redirected toward the skin to release heat into the environment. Sweat production increases dramatically. Fluids are continuously lost. At the same time, the heart must work harder to maintain blood pressure and circulation. Eventually, the system begins approaching its limits. When blood pressure drops or blood flow to the brain becomes temporarily insufficient, dizziness can occur. A person may feel unsteady when standing. Vision may become blurry or dim around the edges. Some individuals describe feeling disconnected from their surroundings or experiencing a sensation that the ground is moving beneath them. These symptoms often appear during activities that seem routine. Someone mowing a lawn, attending an outdoor sporting event, Hiking or working in a warehouse may suddenly feel the need to sit down. The temptation is to dismiss the feeling as simple fatigue. But fatigue and heat-related dizziness are not the same thing. Heat-induced dizziness often signals that the body's compensatory mechanisms are struggling to keep pace with thermal stress. The brain is incredibly sensitive to changes in blood flow and oxygen delivery. Even slight disruptions can produce noticeable symptoms. There is also a dangerous psychological component. Many people feel pressure to continue. Athletes push through. Workers finish the job. Parents keep supervising activities. The warning sign is acknowledged but ignored. Unfortunately, the progression can be rapid. What begins as occasional lightheadedness may evolve into fainting, confusion, or loss of consciousness as internal temperatures continue climbing. By the time collapse occurs, the body may already be entering a far more dangerous stage of heat illness. The key lesson is simple but critical. Dizziness in extreme heat should never be treated as a normal inconvenience. It is often one of the body's clearest signals that cooling measures are urgently needed before more severe damage develops. Number 3, excessive sweating or no sweating at all. Sweat is one of humanity's most remarkable survival tools. Long before air conditioning existed, the ability to produce sweat allowed humans to endure environments that would overwhelm many other species. Every drop represents the body's attempt to shed excess heat and preserve internal stability. Yet one of the most misunderstood warning signs of heat stroke involves sweating itself. Many people assume heat stroke only occurs when someone stops sweating entirely. While this can happen, the reality is more complex. In the early stages of severe heat illness, excessive sweating is often present. The body recognizes rising temperatures and responds by dramatically increasing sweat production in a desperate effort to cool itself. Clothing may become soaked, sweat may drip continuously. Despite these efforts, however, environmental conditions sometimes make cooling ineffective. High humidity can prevent sweat from evaporating efficiently. Heavy clothing can trap heat. Intense physical activity can generate more heat than the body can eliminate. As the battle continues, dehydration worsens. Electrolytes become depleted. The body's resources begin running low. In classic heat stroke, particularly among vulnerable populations such as older adults, the situation may eventually shift dramatically. Sweating decreases or stops altogether. Skin may become hot, dry, and flushed. This transition signals a catastrophic failure of the body's primary cooling mechanism. Once sweating becomes insufficient, internal temperatures can rise rapidly. The body's natural defense system is no longer capable of keeping pace with heat accumulation. Core temperatures may exceed levels that threaten cellular integrity and organ function. This is why both extremes matter. Profuse sweating during intense heat should not automatically reassure someone that everything is fine. It may indicate that the body is fighting aggressively to maintain control. Conversely, a sudden reduction in sweating despite worsening symptoms can indicate that those defenses are collapsing. The transition from excessive sweating to inadequate cooling represents one of the most dangerous turning points in the progression toward heat stroke. Number 4, unusual fatigue that feels different. Everyone knows what ordinary tiredness feels like. A long day at work, a challenging workout, or a poor night's sleep can leave the body feeling drained. But the fatigue associated with developing heat stroke is fundamentally different. People often describe it as a feeling as though their energy has been completely unplugged. This extreme weakness occurs because heat affects virtually every aspect of cellular function. Every cell in the body depends on tightly controlled temperatures to operate efficiently. As temperatures rise, metabolic processes become less stable. Proteins begin functioning less effectively. Energy production within cells becomes compromised. The muscles are particularly vulnerable. Muscle tissue generates heat during movement, which means physical activity in hot environments creates a double burden. Muscles are producing heat while simultaneously trying to function under increasingly stressful conditions. Dehydration further complicates matters by impairing blood flow and reducing the delivery of oxygen and nutrients. The result can be a profound sense of exhaustion that appears disproportionate to the activity being performed. A person who normally walks several miles without difficulty may suddenly feel incapable of continuing. Simple tasks become physically demanding. Climbing stairs feels unusually difficult. Standing for extended periods becomes exhausting. This weakness is not laziness or lack of fitness. It is a biological warning that the body's energy systems are struggling to meet demand. At the same time, the brain is also experiencing thermal stress, which amplifies perceptions of fatigue. Motivation declines, concentration becomes harder, physical effort feels dramatically more difficult than it normally would. Athletes often encounter this symptom before realizing the seriousness of the situation. What initially feels like an off day may actually be the body's attempt to force a reduction in activity before dangerous overheating occurs. In many ways, extreme fatigue represents a protective mechanism. The body is trying to slow itself down. It is urging rest before more severe damage develops. The problem arises when people ignore the message. By pushing through overwhelming exhaustion, they continue generating heat while their cooling systems are already struggling. This can accelerate the progression toward full-blown heat stroke. Number 5, confusion. Perhaps no warning sign of heat stroke is more dangerous or more easily overlooked than confusion. Unlike a headache or dizziness, confusion often prevents people from recognizing that something is wrong. The very organ responsible for making decisions is becoming impaired, making it increasingly difficult to respond appropriately to danger. This is where heat illness transitions from being merely uncomfortable to potentially life-threatening. The brain is extraordinarily sensitive to temperature changes. It requires a stable environment to function correctly. When core body temperature rises beyond safe limits, normal neurological processes begin to deteriorate. Communication between neurons becomes less efficient. Chemical signaling pathways become disrupted. Inflammatory responses increase. The result can be a wide range of cognitive symptoms. At first, the changes may seem subtle. A person may struggle to concentrate on simple tasks. They might forget what they were doing moments earlier. Conversations become harder to follow. Decision-making slows. Routine activities suddenly require more effort than usual. Because these symptoms can resemble ordinary fatigue, many individuals fail to appreciate their significance. However, as heat stress progresses, the neurological effects become increasingly pronounced. Confusion deepens, judgment becomes impaired. People may make irrational choices, ignore obvious dangers, or behave in ways that seem uncharacteristic. Consider a hiker who becomes lost on a hot trail. Rather than seeking shade and conserving energy, they continue walking in the wrong direction. Or an athlete who insists on continuing intense exercise despite obvious warning signs. These decisions often appear puzzling to observers, but they may be direct consequences of heat-induced cognitive impairment. This phenomenon is particularly dangerous because it creates a vicious cycle. The hotter the brain becomes, the less capable it is of making decisions that would help cool the body. Researchers studying heat stroke have found that elevated temperatures can affect regions of the brain involved in memory, attention, emotional regulation, and executive function. In severe cases, people may become disoriented regarding time, place, or even their own circumstances. Family members and bystanders often notice these changes before the affected individual does. Someone may seem unusually irritable, withdrawn, forgetful, or confused. Questions may need to be repeated. Responses become slower. These behavioral changes are not signs of weakness or stubbornness. They are biological evidence that the brain itself is under thermal stress. Number 6, nausea and vomiting. Most people don't immediately associate stomach problems with heat stroke. When nausea appears, the first assumption is often food poisoning, a stomach virus, or something that simply didn't sit right. Yet the digestive system is one of the first major body systems affected when extreme heat begins overwhelming the body's ability to regulate itself. To understand why, we need to look at how the body prioritizes survival during periods of intense heat stress. As internal temperatures rise, the cardiovascular system redirects blood toward the skin to maximize heat loss. This redistribution is essential because cooling becomes the body's top priority. But every action has consequences. The blood being sent toward the skin must come from somewhere, and one of the areas that often receives reduced circulation is the digestive tract. The stomach and intestines rely on a steady supply of oxygen-rich blood to function properly. When circulation decreases, digestion slows. Nutrient absorption becomes less efficient. The tissues lining the digestive tract begin experiencing stress. The result can be a cascade of symptoms that include nausea, abdominal discomfort, cramping, loss of appetite, and eventually vomiting. What makes this symptom particularly deceptive is that it often appears before people realize how seriously heat is affecting them. Imagine someone attending a summer festival. They have been walking in the sun for hours, drinking less water than they should, and consuming foods that may be heavy or difficult to digest. Suddenly, they begin feeling queasy. They blame the meal, the crowds, or perhaps motion sickness. Meanwhile, the true culprit is increasing thermal strain. The body's nervous system also plays a role. Rising core temperatures place stress on the autonomic nervous system, the system responsible for regulating involuntary functions such as heart rate, digestion, and blood pressure. As this symptom becomes disrupted, feelings of nausea can intensify. Vomiting introduces an additional danger because it accelerates fluid loss. Every episode removes water and electrolytes the body desperately needs to maintain cooling mechanisms. What begins as mild nausea can quickly spiral into worsening dehydration, further impairing temperature regulation. Researchers have also observed that severe heat stress can increase intestinal permeability, sometimes referred to as a leaky gut response. When this occurs, inflammatory substances may enter the bloodstream more easily, contributing to systemic stress and potentially worsening the body's overall condition. In many cases, nausea is not merely an uncomfortable symptom. It is a signal that multiple systems are struggling simultaneously. The digestive system is essentially waving a red flag, indicating that the body's resources are being diverted elsewhere in an urgent attempt to prevent overheating. Ignoring that warning allows the internal crisis to continue building. Number 7, rapid heartbeat. The human heart is one of the body's greatest adaptive machines. Every second of every day, it adjusts its output to match changing demands. During exercise, illness, emotional stress, and heat exposure, the heart constantly recalibrates to keep the body functioning. But when extreme heat places excessive demands on the cardiovascular system, one of the earliest measurable signs is a rapid heart rate. Many people notice this symptom as a sensation that their heart is pounding harder than usual. Others become aware of a racing pulse while resting. Some feel fluttering in their chest or a persistent awareness of their heartbeat that normally goes unnoticed. The underlying reason is straightforward but profound. Heat forces the cardiovascular system into overdrive. As blood vessels near the skin expand to release heat, blood pressure naturally tends to decrease. To compensate, the heart must pump faster and harder to maintain adequate circulation throughout the body. At the same time, dehydration reduces blood volume, making the heart's job even more difficult. Imagine trying to deliver supplies throughout a city using fewer vehicles and longer routes. Efficiency drops and the remaining vehicles must work harder. The cardiovascular system faces similar challenges during severe heat stress. The heart is not only supporting the body's cooling efforts, it is simultaneously attempting to preserve blood flow to vital organs such as the brain, kidneys, and muscles. This increased workload can be substantial. Even healthy individuals may experience significant increases in heart rate during prolonged heat exposure. For people with underlying cardiovascular conditions, the strain can be even greater. A rapid pulse serves as an important warning because it reflects the body's growing effort to maintain balance under increasingly difficult circumstances. The heart is effectively announcing that thermal stress is placing extraordinary demands on the system. The danger lies in assuming that an elevated heart rate is simply the result of physical activity. Someone may stop exercising yet notice their pulse remains unusually high. Instead of improving with rest, the racing sensation persists. This persistence is often a clue that heat, not exertion alone, is driving the response. As dehydration worsens and core temperatures continue climbing, cardiovascular strain intensifies. Eventually, the body's ability to compensate may begin to fail. Number 8, muscle cramps and uncontrolled muscle dysfunction. Few symptoms feel as immediate and alarming as a muscle cramp. One moment the body is functioning normally, the next a muscle suddenly tightens into a painful knot that refuses to relax. For many people exposed to extreme heat, muscle cramps are dismissed as a minor inconvenience. They stretch, shake out the affected area, and continue what they were doing. But in the context of intense heat exposure, muscle cramps can represent something much more significant. They are often evidence that the body's fluid and electrolyte balance is beginning to break down. Every muscle contraction depends on precise electrical communication between nerves and muscle fibers. Sodium, potassium, calcium, and magnesium all play critical roles in this process. These minerals act like microscopic messengers, allowing muscles to contract and relax in a coordinated manner. During prolonged heat exposure, the body loses large amounts of water and electrolytes through sweat. Under normal circumstances, these losses are replaced through fluids and food, but when replacement cannot keep pace with losses, imbalances begin to develop. As electrolyte levels shift, muscle control becomes less stable. Signals between nerves and muscles become erratic. The result may be painful cramping, twitching, spasms, or unusual muscle tightness. Athletes frequently experience this phenomenon during endurance events, but it is not limited to sports. Construction workers, landscapers, warehouse employees, agricultural laborers, and even individuals performing household chores in hot weather may encounter the same problem. What makes heat-related cramps particularly important is what they reveal about the body's internal condition. The cramp itself is rarely the primary danger. Instead, it acts as a warning beacon indicating that dehydration and electrolyte depletion are advancing. The body's cooling systems are consuming resources faster than they can be replenished. As temperatures continue rising, muscle performance may deteriorate further. Coordination becomes impaired, movements feel less precise, physical tasks that normally require little thought suddenly feel awkward or difficult. This loss of coordination can create additional risk. A worker may mishandle equipment, an athlete may stumble, a driver may react more slowly. What begins as a muscle problem can quickly become a safety issue. Researchers studying heat illness have also observed that rising body temperatures can directly affect the nervous system's ability to control muscle activity. This means that cramps are not always solely about electrolytes. They can also reflect increasing thermal stress on the neurological systems that coordinate movement. Number 9, loss of coordination. There's a moment in many heat stroke emergencies when observers notice something deeply unsettling. The affected person simply does not seem like themselves. Their speech may become unusual. Their actions may stop making sense. They may appear confused, agitated, irrational, or strangely detached from reality. Sometimes they become unusually aggressive. Other times they seem distant, lethargic, or unable to understand simple instructions. These changes are among the most serious warning signs of heat stroke because they indicate that the brain is no longer functioning normally. By this stage, elevated core temperatures are interfering with the neurological systems responsible for judgment, awareness, coordination, and behavior. The brain operates through an incredibly complex network of electrical and chemical signals. These processes depend on tightly controlled physiological conditions. When body temperature rises too high, those conditions begin to deteriorate. Neurons communicate less effectively, inflammatory responses increase, cellular stress accumulates, normal cognitive function becomes increasingly impaired. One of the earliest manifestations may be a subtle loss of coordination. Walking becomes less steady, balance feels compromised, fine motor skills become less reliable. A person may stumble, drop objects, or struggle with tasks that would normally be effortless. As the condition progresses, mental changes often become more dramatic. Someone may forget where they are. They may become unable to answer basic questions. They may insist they are fine despite obvious evidence to the contrary. This phenomenon is particularly dangerous because it removes one of the body's most important safeguards, self-awareness. The individual experiencing heat stroke may no longer recognize the severity of their condition. They may resist assistance. They may continue exerting themselves despite worsening symptoms. They may refuse to seek medical help because they genuinely do not understand what is happening. This is why bystanders play such a critical role in heat emergencies. Friends, co-workers, family members, coaches, and even strangers are often the first people to recognize that something is seriously wrong. Behavioral changes that appear unusual or out of character should not be ignored during periods of extreme heat exposure. Disorientation represents a critical threshold in the progression of heat illness. It signals that the brain itself is becoming endangered, and if rising temperatures are not rapidly controlled, the body's final warning sign may arrive, a symptom that transforms a dangerous situation into a life-threatening medical emergency. Number 10, collapse or loss of consciousness. When most people picture heat stroke, this is the image they imagine: a person suddenly collapsing. While loss of consciousness is often the most visible manifestation of heat stroke, it is important to understand that it is rarely the first warning sign. By the time collapse occurs, the body has usually been signaling distress for quite some time. Loss of consciousness represents the accumulation of a cascading physiological failure. The brain, heart, circulatory system, nervous system, and temperature regulation mechanisms have all been pushed beyond their ability to compensate. At this stage, core body temperature may exceed 104 degrees Fahrenheit or 40 degrees Celsius. In severe cases, temperatures can climb even higher. These temperatures are not merely uncomfortable, they are biologically dangerous. Proteins throughout the body begin losing their normal structure, cellular functions become impaired, inflammatory responses intensify, organ systems experience escalating stress. The brain, which is particularly vulnerable to heat damage, may begin suffering direct injury. Collapse can occur for several reasons. Blood pressure may fall to dangerously low levels. The brain may receive insufficient oxygen-rich blood. Neurological function may become profoundly disrupted. In some cases, seizures may develop. The exact pathway varies, but the outcome is the same. The body's ability to maintain consciousness fails. Heat stroke is a true medical emergency. Without rapid cooling and professional treatment, permanent organ damage, neurological injury, or death can occur. What makes this final warning sign especially tragic is that it often follows a series of earlier symptoms that were overlooked or misunderstood. The headache was ignored, the dizziness was dismissed, the nausea was blamed on food, the confusion was mistaken for fatigue. Each warning sign represented an opportunity to intervene before the situation reached this point. Heat stroke is often portrayed as a sudden catastrophe, but the reality is far more complex and far more preventable. Long before a person collapses, the body begins sending messages: a pounding headache, a wave of dizziness, unusual sweating, nausea, mental fog, a racing heartbeat, crushing fatigue, muscle cramps, confusion, disorientation. Each symptom tells part of the same story. Together, they reveal a body fighting desperately to maintain balance in the face of overwhelming heat. What makes heat stroke so dangerous is not simply the temperature itself. It is the way rising heat gradually disrupts the systems we depend on most. The cardiovascular system strains to maintain circulation. The nervous system struggles to coordinate normal function. The digestive system receives less blood flow. The brain becomes increasingly impaired. One by one, the mechanisms designed to keep us alive begin to falter. Recognizing those warning signs can change the outcome entirely. As global temperatures continue rising and heat waves become more frequent and intense, understanding heat stroke is no longer just useful knowledge. It is an increasingly important survival skill. Whether you are an athlete, outdoor worker, parent, caregiver, traveler, or simply someone enjoying a summer afternoon, these warning signs matter. Because heat stroke does not discriminate. It can affect the young and the old, the fit and the unfit, the experienced and the inexperienced. The difference often comes down to awareness. The next time you find yourself in extreme heat, pay attention to what your body is telling you. Notice the subtle changes. Respect the warning signs. Act earlier rather than waiting for symptoms to become severe. The body is remarkably resilient, but it is not invincible. And sometimes the smallest warning sign can be the difference between a close call and a tragedy.